Welcome to the American Dream. It is always great when we get to have Eran Sinai. He is CEO and founder of ID Cyber Center. It's great to have you in here, and I'm looking forward to this topic today.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Always great to have you. First, I want to touch, I know you have a radio show,
Yes.
I think ESPN.
That's right.
Why don't you just tell me a little bit first about your passion for that and what your topics kind of have been lately?
So whenever people hear ESPN, obviously they think it's a sports show. No, it's not. Yes, I did play soccer. I did play professional soccer, but it has nothing to do with sport. It's a talk show. It's called Common Sense with Eran Sinai, and we bring different guests. We want to take topics that in the realm of the world and make them simple, make them bring common sense into him. So we could have city official from the district attorney to realtors to nonprofits. So we try to really take what's happening here in the world and really make sense to people so they can understand what it is about. And it's fun. The show is live streamed, so people can watch us live in the studio. It's podcasted simultaneously. You can listen to it on the radio. And I love doing it. It's a lot of fun.
And I think it's something that people really want to hear more. Everybody's tired of the mainstream stuff, or like we talk about here with, just more negative media. It's so great when you get to hear things that are empowering or inspiring or make you think differently. And hopefully people come out a better person after hearing your show.
Absolutely. And, it's Monday live at 5 p.m. So people are listening in the radio, believe it or not. Sometimes they don't want to just listen to music. And I try to make it fun. It's not heavy. It's light. I love trivia. I love music. So I always involve things like that. And people, in the beginning, they sit like this. They're a little nervous. And towards the end of the show, they're like, oh, that's an hour already? And it's gone in a second. And you know how it is. So I enjoy it.
Isn't that fun when you watch people relax into it?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
to where they're not nervous anymore and they realize, okay, I'm just here. And people want to hear natural conversations.
Yeah.
They want to hear people that are, engaging and inspiring. So I think that's so awesome that you're doing that. And
it is.
I'm glad we got to touch on that.
Yes, thank you.
Obviously, one of the really important roles that you play is being founder and CEO of ID Cyber Center. Right now, cyber, people are heightened about it. There's a culture right now, everybody's worried. They're worried about cyber attack. First, tell me, what you see as a culture that the world is looking at as far as cyber.
Unfortunately, it's not going to get any better anytime soon. As a matter of fact, there was just a convention. It's called Black Hat Convention in Vegas. That's where all the good hackers get together and discuss what's next. And the biggest topics, believe it or not, was voting. Do we want to use pen and paper or do we want to use digital? So it affects every area of our lives. And I think we cannot, and a lot of people, you'll be amazed from research we have done, bury their heads in the sand and thinking if they won't look into it, it won't happen to them. But when we talk about breaches and data leaks, and we're looking at Equifax, one of the 3 credit bureaus, when over 148 million people's information is out there. So there's no question in my mind that each one of us, you, me, every one of us, information is out there. The question is if they're going to do it, when they're going to do it, and not if, but when, and what they're going to do with it. So I would really recommend that people don't bury their head in the sand. Check on a regular credit your credit card statement. Check your credit once in a while to see. Check your even medical bills. Once a year, get a statement from your insurance company and go through it, kind of x-ray of your insurance bill, because there's a lot of medical identity theft.
Wow, that is great advice. And I bet a lot of people don't think about that.
No one does it. No one does it. And I said, look, it is tough. There's pluses and minuses with being so advanced, but we're not going backwards, we're going forward. And the thieves, yes, they're getting a little more sophisticated, but it's not as much as them being sophisticated as much as the tools are so much more readily available. So I just encourage people to really be conscious and proactive. You can't prevent it, but you can be proactively doing things to protect yourself.
I think we could probably do an entire half-hour show just on this.
That's right.
I really appreciate that you brought up these key topics.
You're
I
welcome.
hope that our viewers really heed the warning, and we'll be right back with more of The American Dream.
I left the palace to hustle a great life of the American dream. These are the words of His Highness Dr. Prince Mario Max Schaumburg-Lippe of Germany. Prince, good to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us on the American Dream.
Thank you, thank you. I'm very excited to be with you, and it's absolutely true. It started pretty early. I was born in this little village, we have to say, the city Salzburg, the Sound of Music city. And fortunately enough, we had a stage in this city. And as a young boy, I was performing in the opera Boris Godunov. And that was when I started to dream about Hollywood, about America. And it just became my biggest dream. And then when I was 16 years old, I started to do a radio show and started to do television. So I'm with the media all my life, but of course, first it started in Europe. Very humble with little shows and little columns I wrote. And the interesting thing is when people asked me, what do you do? I always said, I'm on TV, I'm a TV personality, I'm a radio journalist. So I never said I'm a prince, because I said that's something that is not the most interesting thing. My job, being in the media, being in entertainment, was always what I lived for. Yeah, and then a few years ago, I really made it to Hollywood, and after a successful and big career in entertainment in Europe, I said, now I'm going to jump in the cold water, come to Hollywood and see what happens. And I'm now a judge at the Television Academy for the Emmy Awards, and I'm working 7 days a week on interesting projects. I started my own PR company, so I help people to get in the media, or if they have a crisis, get out of the media. And I'm just having a blast being in this wonderful country, and America is being very friendly to me. I think it's such an open and such a cool place. So I feel very welcome, and I thank this country for what opportunity it gave to me. I really have to mention that.
Well, it's pretty fascinating that you found your inspiration in this Hollywood scene, that you actually made the leap from being a prince to now being here in Southern California. What year did you do that?
I started with little steps. So first, I just went to New York, and there I met at the function of Prince Albert of Monaco, Liza Minnelli, and we just had a blast dancing. And she said to me, "Oh, this kid can dance." So legendary Liza Minnelli from the musical Cabaret. Most of you guys will know her from winning the Oscar, the Emmy, the Grammy, and the Tony. This legendary entertainer invited me to dance class to Luigi, who was the former dance captain of MGM Studios. And there I was dancing and rehearsing with Liza Minnelli, with Ben Vereen, Pippin, with Christine Baranski from the ABBA movie, all these legends. And every day we went to this Broadway dance class at 11. And she took me under her wings, and we had a blast. And I started to work on musical shows. So I was starring in a show called Pretty Faces. I was starring in Dracula's Story. I was starring in the show 12 Days of Christmas. So I did a lot of stage work first. And then I wanted to merge back into television, what I did in Europe. So I moved on to my next education, and I went to the Lee Strasberg Institute, and there I studied with David Strasberg, who is the son of Lee Strasberg. And right on, I booked TV stuff. I had a show on VH1, I did work on Bravo, and then I did a movie for Lifetime television. So everything worked out really cool, and I just feel whenever you want to achieve something and work hard and learn your craft, it really works, and I never had a problem with it. And now, as the acting is a thing that comes and goes, because you always have to rely on people booking you, hiring you for a project, I start my own project. So that's a thing I like a lot, doing own projects. We just won Culver City Film Festival with a production about a school in Hollywood where kids graduate high school age 11. And I teamed up with this school because I think it's such an advantage for American kids to be able to graduate with the high school degree age 11. Then they can go right away into learning a profession or studying. And we're so proud because the next season of the Dancing with the Stars is a junior edition. And our boy Lev graduated high school age 12. And he's now on the Dancing with the Stars as a professional. He is in the music video with Justin Timberlake, and our boy is also on the national commercial of a clothing brand. That's one of our alumni of the Ivy League College Preparatory Academy. And then another kid we have is at law school now. Maxana finished at 11 and she's now studying law, which is very impressive. So I like to help others because I know through hard work and hustling you can achieve a lot. And that's what I want to pass on to the audience and to everyone. Just go for it.
Well, you've had an amazing journey. A lot of people say that the American dream is dead. You, as a prince, have made the journey on your own, taken all of the risks. And as I ask you about your entrepreneurial spirit, it sounds like you're in about 10 different things, but you're passionate about all of them. You have a successful career as an actor, TV host, and now you're helping others to do it. We appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story of the American dream. Thank you so much, Prince. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And I have to say one thing. I'm also sharing what I can achieve because I love the American veterans, what they did and what they do for this country. And I mean, they keep America so nice and they kept it always safe. And I'm always donating for them. I love them. And I did some festival, a caviar festival for benefiting the veterans with the proceeds. And I think we should always look for and after others when we are successful in what we do.
Thank you so much for honoring our military. We really do appreciate that. All right, thank you so much. Cheers to your American dream. Gotta let you go. More of the show coming up next.
Well, our next guest was actually just named one of the top 250 realtors in the nation by the Wall Street Journal for 2017. So as we take you back to Nashville, please welcome Amanda Bell, realtor with At Home Realty. Amanda, so great to have you back on the show. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Thank you. I love talking to you every month. This is great.
Awesome. I love it too. And I know today that we're going to kind of talk a little bit about condos and compared to single family residences. So why would you say that maybe buying a condo is different than going about buying a single family residence?
Well, I guess first let me say, a lot of people think of a condo and they think a downtown or metropolitan area, but condos are also becoming popular in the more rural areas as well. It makes life a little bit easier for some people that do not have the ability to maintain their own property, either financially or health-wise or demographics, one reason or the other. So it gives them the option of having a home without having the maintenance. So that is what is attracting a lot of people. But knowing that they are becoming more and more popular in the rural area, it gives people an option to think outside of the normal single-family residence for the rural areas.
Okay, good point there. So as far as financing options, would those be limited for condos?
Well, it can be. There are several things to factor in when you're looking at a condo. If you're looking to go FHA, then there are certain condominium associations that are FHA approved and there's ones that are not. And there's actually a list provided by the government online that tells you whether or not the complex will go FHA. Now, one of the key things to keep in mind is that if the condominium complex was FHA approved at one point in time, and let's say there's an FHA foreclosure, then they will actually allow you to still get an FHA loan on it, even though the complex itself is not FHA approved. There are other programs as well, like USDA and VA, that will also qualify for condominiums that are not necessarily FHA approved. And then depending on the area, a lot of banks will have what we call in-house loans or specialized programs just for their bank that may provide 100% financing that you couldn't get on a single family residence. So yes, those factors do take into consideration, but it's a case-by-case scenario depending on the actual complex.
Okay. All right. So if somebody has a choice between purchasing a condo or a single family residence, why might they purchase the condo?
Well, I think if you take into consideration, let's see someone that needs to budget monthly maintenance as far as lawn care or maybe exterior maintenance. Some people have a harder time with the individual aspects of it, like setting aside money for lawn care, setting aside money for roof, windows, brick, exterior, etc. Whereas a HOA or a homeowners association will actually kind of take that burden off of having to set aside money for each individual aspect, and they just collect in a lump sum and hold that for you until, it is needed, or pay it as they go. So it's like collecting homeowners insurance up front, and then they pay it when it's due. It's kind of the same aspect of it. So it just kind of takes a little bit of burden off the strain of having to find somebody, hire them, and keep a budget going for those maintained items.
Yeah, very, very true. I like how you just described that. So I know that you also have a listing that is a condo. Can you tell us all about it?
Yes, so this is one of my favorites. Now, this is a perfect example of something that you think you would see in a metropolitan or a downtown area, but this one is actually in Ashland City, which is a more rural area, and they just received this year their FHA approval, which is something they didn't have before. And this actually sits with a view of the marina and the river. So it's one of the few complexes that actually has waterfront property in the Middle Tennessee area. So this one's a 2-bedroom. It is on the 4th floor, and it's $234,900, which is great. And then they do have a homeowners association that helps you not have to think about the maintenance. They're going to take care of that for you and collect that budget on a monthly basis to cover all the needs of that one.
Oh, perfect. Sounds like the perfect situation. I love the waterfront as well. Amanda, thank you so much for coming on. Great to talk with you.
Thank you, you too.
And stick around. American Dream will be right back. Welcome back. Up next on the show, we have an award-winning luxury real estate professional with RE/MAX Fine Homes. Please welcome back to the show, Bruce Jones. Hi, Bruce. Great to see you as always. How are things in Nashville?
Things are great, Sarah. Everything's been a great summer, great year, and we're not showing any signs of letting up.
Okay, all right. Well, that's always good news to have. So I know today we're going to talk a little bit about preparation as well as on the selling side and buying side. So why should everyone have their house ready to sell at any given moment?
We're running into a lot of people that been maybe looking at homes off and on for quite some time. Just ran into somebody the other day that they found a listing of mine, and it was perfect for them. And first time I met them, they said, we've literally been looking for 2 years. And I was like, so they financially were able to go ahead and pull it off, but there were people right before them that wanted it as well, but needed to sell their house. I went over to their house and looked at it, just not ready. And it's like, and it's going to be a while before it's ready because there's just too many things to do. And it's like, in this market right now, maybe you need to refinish your hardwood floors or paint. And it's like, just update some things on it. You're not going to be able to do it at a moment's notice. And things like the subcontractors are just in too high demand. You need to go ahead and start doing this stuff well in advance. If you don't know what to do, you need to call us and let us, come to your house and look at it and tell you what you need to start doing to get it prepared to sell.
All right, perfect. So those steps for preparation are definitely vital, it sounds like. Can you give me some recent examples of why any person even thinking of buying a house should be ready at moment's notice?
Yeah, I just kind of touched on that, I guess. And I was like, but I've got one of my team members right now. She went out and met with the seller, and it's like, and they're wanting to go now on it and sell it now and everything because it's a good season, kind of hit it up before we start getting later into fall, but they're just not ready. And it's like there's just too many things to be done out there. And it's like they should have been doing this months in advance. I had some other sellers that the same. They actually talked to me. I came over and visited them 2 months ago, and it's like, and we said like, okay, what do we do to get it up to speed? Landscaping, some things on that, cleaning, painting. We put it on the market, and 17 days later, sold it full list price. Everything's like, the house is just immaculate. Had a lot of showings on it, I just had another one where the people said, found a house they've been looking for, and they said, I went over their house, it was totally ready to go. And I was like, so put it on the market, sold it day one, full price.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well that gives us, I think, a good, clear example of what's happening out there in the market and why that preparation is so necessary. So I know you did already touch on kind of some of the things that you guys will do as far as, going over to a house and seeing what needs to be prepared. And I can understand that this is, an emotional and it can be stressful for those people. So what do you and your team do to kind of just help in this entire process to make things go a little bit, I don't know, easier, a bit more streamlined?
Yeah, a lot of times, you just have to have very candid conversations with people and just tell them, like, hey, is there a smell? And it's like sometimes there's certain things about a house she cannot do anything about. The layout of it. It is what it is. And I was like, but we can help you in terms of like who to contact for some contacts for painters or hardwood floor need to be installed or refinished and things like so. Kelly, it's on my team. She's is an interior designer and everything. She can come over and look at it and stuff and look and see what needs to be done. Maybe from a decluttering standpoint.
Yeah.
And even landscaping is a big deal because this is the first thing people see when they walk up. If
Yeah.
it's all overgrown and looking bad, it's a bad first impression. But you got to do this stuff in advance, and things like you can't do it all in 1 week. And like you need to go ahead and get it done. If you're thinking about buying or selling, you need to go ahead and just start preparing for it now because I tell people it's like, hey, I'm going to list your house. It's going to sell.
Yeah. Oh, well, perfect, because it sounds like not only, they'll hire you, but you've got all those other, assets, all the people that they can contact to help fix that, to alleviate the burden. Well, I know that you have a listing, actually, so if somebody's ready to go on that, this will be maybe the perfect home for them. And I know it's at 6418 Wildwood Drive in Brentwood, Tennessee. Can you tell us about that, Bruce?
Yeah, this house is sitting on 5 acres in Brentwood and things like, which is unusual to find that big of a piece of land. It's very, very private, a lot of trees, a lot of woods back there. It's kind of a contemporary home, and it's 5 bedrooms, 5 baths. It's a little over 4,600 square feet, and very, really easy access to a lot of major roads, Green Hills area, Nashville. So really, really good location, very good schools. I think so. Would be happy to show it to someone. Just give me a call. It's listed right now for $975,000, and we're just ready to rock and roll on this one. Everything it's ready to go.
All right, 6418 Wildwood Drive in Brentwood. Thank you so much, Bruce. I imagine that's going to be gone rather quickly. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And we'll be right back. For our mortgage update, I've got Kevin Watson with Churchill Mortgage. He's the branch manager in Brentwood, Tennessee. Hi, Kevin. Welcome to the American Dream.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm really good, really good.
So my question for you today is, what would help borrowers in a competitive market like Nashville be able to get a loan when they're going up against cash buyers or just other offers?
Yeah, we have that happen a whole lot because there are many people low inventory. We're very low on inventory, and a lot of people offering the same. So what I would recommend is getting all the way through approval. They can have their income, their assets, and their ability to qualify already verified by a full underwriter. And then when they do go to make an offer, they're going to be that much further ahead, 2, maybe even 3 weeks ahead of someone who's just applying. And they'll be able to make an offer faster and compete better. It wouldn't be a cash deal, but they'd be able to compete at a better rate than others who haven't gotten to that point.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much with our mortgage update.
Thank you.
Our next guest from Nashville, Tennessee is here to talk a little bit about some title tips. Please welcome back to the show, Chris Corriveau, president at Midtown Title. Hi, Chris. Welcome back to the American Dream. Great to have you today.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Well, Chris, can you tell me a little bit about title insurance and how title insurance differs from other types of insurances like auto or even health insurance?
Yeah, absolutely. So auto and health insurance is based on loss assumption. There's little work to do on the front end, and the insurance carrier is going to assume that you're going to have to use the policy in the future. If you have health insurance, obviously you may have to go see the doctor. If you have a car wreck, you have to make a claim on your insurance for your car. Whereas title insurance actually emphasizes on loss prevention. We do all of our work on the front end. We're actually doing a labor-intensive record search to make sure that the person who owns the property has a right to sell the property to a person, and that there's no liens, no mortgages, no back taxes, no income taxes, just no items that would be detrimental to a person's ownership of the property. And once we check all those items off, if everything does check out, we're actually able to issue the new homeowner title insurance policy, which protects their ownership interest in the house. And it's actually something we would defend their interest in a court of law if a claim ever came up after we completed our work.
Okay, so it does sound like it is important to have. As far as new construction, I know Middle Tennessee, there's a lot in that area right now. Can you tell me why title insurance would be recommended for a newly constructed home, even though the home itself really doesn't have any title history?
Yeah, so even though the house is brand new, to you doesn't mean that the land is brand new. The land has been there actually since the dawn of time. So there's been ownership of that land for a long period of time. So what we want to do, as we alluded to earlier, was we do a record search. We want to make sure that all the items on the ownership is correct. And whenever that house is purchased at that point in time, if the ownership records are correct, then we're able to issue you, the homeowner, a title insurance policy that ensures your investment in that property is safe. So yeah, the house is new, but the land is still not new at that point in time. So there still could be items out there that could be detrimental to the ownership of the property.
Okay, all right, good to know. Now, I know there's two different types of title insurance policies that can be purchased. So can you tell me some differences between the standard title insurance policy and then the enhanced title insurance policy, and why maybe that enhanced policy would be the best option when purchasing a newly constructed home?
Yeah, so an enhanced policy itself, the biggest differences between the policies are on new construction house. You're not sure if the house has been built. In the state of Tennessee, you're not required to have a survey when you purchase property. So you really have no idea where the boundaries of the property are, where the house has been built. Is it built in the correct spot that allowed for it? And so the enhanced policy itself actually protects the homeowners if the house was not built in a proper location, if it was built over the property lines. It also protects against any liens and judgments from prior contractors who maybe worked for the builder on the property. And I think the number one issue that it has that's a benefit to customers is that a traditional title insurance policy, once you purchase it, let's say if it's $100,000, the policy is only good for $100,000. Whereas in the enhanced version, it increases 10% a year for the first 5 years. So, and after year 5, your policy's actually got a value of 150% as opposed to just what you paid for it.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on and giving us some insight into the title insurance and why it's important to have. And of course, I'm sure you get all those questions a lot about the newly constructed homes. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. And stick around, more interviews right after this.
All right, that's all for the American Dream. Thank you so much for checking us out. Remember, our goal is to educate, empower, and engage your American Dream. Don't forget, we love you to breathe oxygen into this message. Follow us on social media, and don't forget, we'll catch you next time. See you next week.